So, Brian Mbeumo of Brentford. It seems to always be Brentford, doesn't it? Brian Mbeumo from Brentford. Sky Sports have reported that Tottenham have held initial conversations with the player and his agent. Initial discussions. Now, this has sent Spurs fans and the internet into meltdown. Tottenham Hotspur, are they finally acting like a big club? Has Daniel Levy finally realised what is needed to take Tottenham Hotspur up a level? Now, for the last 2-3 weeks, we know that Man United have had several bids in from Mbeumo, but for some reason, it's gone very quiet. In the last sort of 72 hours, it's gone very quiet. Everyone's saying, what's happening? Why hasn't he signed the deal with Man United yet? There were those that said, hang on, maybe, just maybe, he's not signed the deal because he wants to join Tottenham Hotspur and he's waiting to see what Thomas Frank does. Well, now we know Thomas Frank has joined Tottenham Hotspur, and immediately the day after it is announced, we are hearing Tottenham in talks with Mbeumo. Now, depending on who you want to believe, depends on how viable a deal is for the dynamic forward. And he is dynamic. He's a forward that in the last 3 seasons has got better and better. Last season grabbing 20 Premier League goals for a Brentford team that had just lost Ivan Toney. He stepped up to the plate. So did Thfc, who we will talk about shortly. And Brentford had a top half finish for the second time under Thomas Frank, which is great for a team of their size, with a team that has a salary as low as they do every year. So, will Mbeumo be swayed to Tottenham by Thomas Frank? Will Daniel Levy put the money down? So what do we know? Well, we know that Man United had a first bid rejected. What was it? 45 plus 10, I believe it was. Then we know that there's another bid that's gone in, which I believe is 55 plus 10, taking the deal to £65 million. Now, of course, if Tottenham were to spend £65 million on Mbeumo, that would be our biggest ever transfer fee paid for a footballer. Of course, the biggest transfer fee received, we then look at the likes of Gareth Bale and Harry Kane. However, as far as signings go, this would be our biggest ever signing. Now, why are people getting their knickers in a twist about Mbeumo? Why do Man U want him? Why did Tottenham want him? Well, when you look last year, only 3 footballers got more goals in the Premier League than Mbeumo. Playing as, is he a right winger? More of a right-sided inside forward, but likes to run at his man, likes to drive into the box and score goals. He also last season attempted more crosses in the Premier League than any other footballer, which shows you he likes to get at defences and he likes to whip balls in the box. So, could that be music to Solanke's ears? A player who, I've not been the biggest fan of Solanke. For me, I think he leaves a lot to be desired. But a lot of people said when he came to Tottenham, get him in that penalty area and he will score goals. So could that be music to his ears? Could we see a resurgence of Dominic Solanke? The year before at Bournemouth, he scored a lot of goals. Maybe, just maybe, with someone like Mbeumo providing him on the right-hand side, he could also start to hit big figures, because this year was a poor goals return. But where will Mbeumo go? Is it going to be Man United, one of the biggest clubs in the world? And yes, we know it's not Man United of old. Yes, we know Man United do not have any European football to speak of, but they do have pull. They've always had sway when it comes to the transfer market, and it doesn't matter where they are, first, last, winning cups, not winning cups, winning leagues, not winning leagues. They always manage to get big signings. So Mbeumo to Man United still for me looks like that would be the favourite. Now I would like to think that I'm wrong. I'd love to think that I'm wrong. I'd love to think that Tottenham Hotspur can nip in and hijack the deal, if you want to say that. You know, can we nick in at the last minute, get a 97th minute winner and stick 2 fingers up at Man United? I don't know. I'd love to think we can. But what I do know is this. For all the stick Daniel Levy gets, and bearing in mind he's had a lot of stick from me over the years, the way he's acting at the moment, the clean sweep of all the staff other than Johan Lang in the last week to 10 days, going and getting Frank and all of his coaching staff for 10 million, which by the way is the 5th biggest transfer fee ever paid for a manager. So the biggest ever fee to get a manager out of a club. Tottenham have now 5th on that list, getting 10 million for Thomas Frank. So again, 10 million plus the 7 million that was needed to pay off Ange Postecoglou. Levy is moving slightly different. Now, we could say it's Peter Charrington who's been put onto the board as a non-exec director. Joe Lewis's right-hand man. Has he had a say in this? Vinay Venkatesham, he's joined as CEO. Has he had a say in this? Suddenly, are we seeing Tottenham act like a big club? Time will tell on that front. Time will tell. But going after a player like Mbeumo certainly does say that Tottenham are moving a bit different. And if I'm going to look at this as half glass full, and I'm in a good mood this last week. Obviously, I didn't want Ange. I wanted Frank. So as far as I'm concerned, as a Spurs fan and a football fan, all of the stars have aligned this week. Then I hear that we want Mbeumo. But let's look at it like this. Will we get him? Maybe not. Maybe. But if we don't, what we do know is that the money is there to go and get somebody of that ilk. To go and get an Mbeumo. To go and get an Eze. On a lesser scale, to go and get a Semenyo, but by the way, who will still cost an absolute packet. Then you see rumours that Tottenham also want Thfc, and it's easy, isn't it? You put 2 and 2 together, Tottenham need forwards. Thomas Frank's left Brentford and joined Spurs. 2 and 2 tells you you're going to get 4, and we're going to go and raid Brentford for all of the players that Thomas Frank brought in and coached to a high standard. Sometimes it does work like that, and other times it simply doesn't. But who out there would say no to Thfc? Who out there would say no to Bryan Mbeumo? I don't think any of you would. I wouldn't. I don't think any of you would. Was it 39, 40 league goals between them last season? A dynamic duo that can both play out wide, can play up front as well, can play in a 2, play as part of a 3. We'll see. Eze, clearly the favourite. Everyone wants Eze. Well, not everyone, but I reckon 90% of fans want Eze, who we know is going to cost similar. 65, 68 million being talked about. We know that Semenyo going to be 65 million plus as well. And unfortunately, this is what you've got to pay for these players. This is what you've got to pay for Premier League proven players, and especially the ones that are homegrown, like Semenyo, like Eze. You've got to pay big money. So let me know what you think. Are Tottenham Hotspur moving differently? Is this another false dawn? Is this what Daniel Levy does? Brilliant PR. Brilliant PR. I've got you your manager. Most of you wanted this manager. I've got you this manager. Now I'm going to put in bids. Who knows? We've seen genuine bids go in. The likes of Doué, the likes of Moani, the likes of Tomori that we didn't get. And then we've seen bids like Guehi on the penultimate day of the January transfer window, which felt all a bit silly. But Daniel Levy at the moment is doing good things. Some people will respond and say, how do we know it's Levy? And I don't. In all fairness, I don't. But at the moment, until we hear otherwise, Daniel Levy runs the show. So if he keeps doing these things, if he goes after these players, if he gets an Mbeumo, gets an Eze, gets a Thfc, not all 3 of them, if he gets players of this ilk, will fans lay off him? Will the protests die a death? Will people suddenly forget about Postecoglou as Thomas Frank takes us slowly but surely up the table? Let me know your thoughts. I'll be back tomorrow. Take care. And as always, come on you Spurs, and welcome Thomas Frank and all his staff. See you later.